Miranda Davis was 28, sharp, ambitious, and on the rise. In a company full of cautious thinkers, she was the spark that made things move. And beside her, guiding, shaping, and cheering her on, was Clara Nelson, her manager, her mentor, her perfect example of success. Clara was elegance in motion, confident, measured, and untouchable. To Miranda, she was everything she wanted to become. When Pearson and Holt landed a new international client, the biggest in years, it was Clara who chose Miranda to co-lead the pitch. Together, they worked late into the nights, sharing coffee and quiet moments of exhaustion that made the bond between them feel almost like sisters. On the evening of the presentation, they left the office together in Clara's car. The mood was high, the city lights stretching ahead like a promise. But halfway through the drive, Clara suddenly went pale. She pulled to the roadside, hand over her mouth, trembling as she vomited. Sweat ran down her temple. Her voice was weak when she spoke. "Go on," she said. "We can't afford not to make this presentation. I trust your competence, and I know you can do it alone. I'll get a cab to the hospital." Miranda hesitated, but Clara's tone left no room for argument. She took the keys, promised to check in later, and drove away. It was the last time anyone saw Clara Nelson alive. The presentation was flawless. Miranda held the room in her palm. The client signed on the spot and commissioned the project right away, paying 40% of the project fund, hundreds of millions, into the company account that very night. By the time she returned to the office garage around 10:30, the day had caught up with her. The last thing she remembered was parking Clara's car and walking toward her own. After that, nothing. Just darkness. She woke the next morning in her bed, still in yesterday's clothes, her head pounding, her memories blank, and several missed calls from the office. At the office, chaos awaited her. Detectives in suits, whispers in the hallway. Clara was missing. And the project funds, gone. An investigation was launched, and the first place they checked was the security camera. Security footage showed Miranda herself entering the finance department after midnight, using her key card, and leaving with a laptop bag at 1:30 a.m. She swore she never went back to the office, but the timestamps, the cameras, even her own access logs all said otherwise. In less than a day, Miranda Davis went from star employee to prime suspect. Detective Nathan Reed was assigned to the case. Quiet, meticulous, not one for easy conclusions. To his superiors, it was simple. The suspect had motive, access, and a suspicious memory gap. But Nathan wasn't convinced. The evidence was too perfect, too clean, as though someone had written the story in advance and handed it to him to read. "If she's that smart," he told his partner, "why leave her fingerprints on every part of the crime?" Still, every lead he followed circled back to Miranda. Her colleagues' statements contradicted one another. Her own recollection broke apart under pressure. Even she began to doubt herself. At night, she'd stare at her reflection, whispering, "Did I do it?" Then, something shifted. During a quiet visit to Clara's office, Nathan noticed how spotless everything looked. Files boxed neatly, drawers locked, not a paper out of place. It was as if someone had cleaned not just the room, but the story. As he turned to leave, a slip of paper fluttered from under the desk. A restaurant receipt, He bent, picked it up, and paused. Lunch. Oysters. Nathan frowned. In Clara's medical records, he'd seen a note, severe shellfish allergy. Clara Nelson never ate oysters. He slipped the receipt into his pocket, unaware that he was holding the first thread of the unraveling. The restaurant was easy to find, small, quiet, by the harbor. The staff remembered her. "Elegant lady," the waiter said. "Always ordered salad." But that day she tried something new. Surveillance footage confirmed it. Clara wasn't alone. Across the table sat two figures, a man in a cap and a woman who looked eerily like Miranda. Tracing Clara's last calls led Nathan to a small apartment on the edge of town. Inside, a nervous young woman, Laura, broke down the moment she saw the badge. Between sobs, Laura confessed. Clara had paid her and her boyfriend for the job. They had met Clara that afternoon at lunchtime to put their plan in motion. Clara had ordered oysters, knowing they would make her seriously ill and prevent her from going to the presentation. After Miranda left with the car that day, Laura's boyfriend picked Clara up and took her to a hotel on the outskirts of the city. Laura was to wait inside Miranda's car and knock her out cold, after which she was to use Miranda's ID and access the company's servers that midnight. She'd even transferred the money herself as Clara directed, and she and her boyfriend had driven Miranda to her apartment and dropped her on her bed while she was still out cold. But Clara had promised her everything was foolproof, that nothing could be traced. Nathan's eyes were steady when he asked, "You ever heard the phrase, 'no such thing as a perfect crime'?" By the next morning, the chains snapped into place. The fake accounts, the offshore transfer, the tickets booked under a new name. Clara Nelson was alive and headed for Canada to start a new life. At the airport, she looked every bit the part. Dark wig, designer shades, calm smile. She handed her passport to the attendant and turned toward the gate. Then a voice came from behind. "Hello, Ms. Nelson," Nathan said softly. "The company says you forgot to sign one last document." Her face froze. The cuffs clicked shut, and the woman who'd written the perfect plan finally ran out of pages. Days later, Miranda was cleared. She walked out of the precinct free, but changed. Freedom felt different when you'd seen how fragile it was. Indeed, the people we trust most can write our darkest chapters. Out there, outside the high walls of the precinct, the wind moved through her hair, and for the first time in weeks, the world was quiet. Miranda breathed deeply and freely. The horizon brightened, and in that light, one truth remained clear. There's no such thing as a perfect crime. If you enjoyed The Substitute, don't forget to like, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more stories that keep you guessing till the end.